A 1, 2, a 3, 4. Ain't it funny how there's only 3 of us, me, myself, and I, you in between. Here we are again, just the 2 of us, you and me. All this love in between, and all I know is this love is pure, and baby it flows, 'cause we are making it up as we go along, living in a dream. We are making it up as we go along in this life as it seems, and this one's made just for you and me. We are living in a dream.
In better news, the rail workers in Japan who are also protesting EGT, which is what we're protesting up and down the coast to a longshoreman jurisdiction in Longview, Washington. They stormed into a Hatochu, which is part of EGT, stormed into one of their offices and shut that down in Japan in solidarity with us. I guess in New York they stormed some kind of like big financial institution linked into Goldman and Sachs, and when they heard that the Port of Oakland had shut down our port, they went crazy. And we're still trying to figure out what Maui and Honolulu did. So yeah, we did it. We coordinated a day of action up and down the coast and all around the world.
I never thought I would see something like this in the United States. I'm from South America, where there have been a lot of progressive governments, and I really think that there's been a change down there, and I think that here people are starting to organize, and with the Occupy movement from the East Coast to the West Coast, and I think that is awesome, and it's just the beginning. And like you said, like what do they want? What is going to be the outcome? I guess that that's something that we need to stay in contact with the movement to see what's going to happen.
All right. So tell me, what brought you guys out today?
Well, we've been at Occupy Cal in Berkeley for a month.
Over a month now.
Yeah. And well, you should take the Oakland part over.
I was visiting Oakland before Occupy Cal was established, really, and today's a massive action, and it's actually worldwide, and it's imperative that everybody take part wherever they can. And the beauty of this action is that it's specific to your location and specific to your region. So I know that I can participate in this action here in Oakland, while people can do it in Japan and Houston and in Anchorage and all the way down to San Diego. So it's a great way to make sure everyone can get involved. It's gonna be huge. Today's gonna be huge.
Tell me, we're hearing a lot. This could be the single most controversial day that we've had so far, with a lot of the media reporting that this is going to hurt your average American, people that are waiting for their goods to come in, mom and pop shops and things like that. Prices will be elevated as a result. The 1% won't feel a thing. They'll just pass it on to the consumer and pass it on to the mom and pops. How do you feel about those statements, and what do you think the reaction is?
Well, I mean, the port workers are in very awful conditions, and they aren't really allowed to stand in solidarity technically with us.
So, I'm making a documentary, and this is part of the second episode of the Are You Occupied series. And I came down here to kind of feel out what's going on with this particular day of action. And one of the concerns that I've heard from sort of the modern media, which, by the way, I've noticed isn't really covering much. I haven't seen a single camera from a major media or even a local media source out here. I do see trucks, but I haven't seen anyone walking around. But the question I do keep hearing, and I know this is what the the media is going to be reporting, how much this hurts the small businesses and average Americans to shut down a port. And I'm wondering what your opinion is on that, and sort of what you see as a goal to reach by doing this particular action.
Sure. Well, I think there are probably two important points to make about that. For one is that I don't think it really does. I mean, clearly the people that are being harmed by this are, the people who run the port, who profit from the port, and the day-to-day workers. I mean, the longshoremen, for example, because it's a health and safety reason that they're going home. My understanding is that they continue to be paid. So it's not clear to me that they're directly being harmed by this action. I mean, I think with the second thing we have to realize is that, social protest, disruption, it's always problematic. And that there is always going to be a degree of people that are bystanders that are being harmed in one way or another. And I think we have to be sensitive to that as a movement, and I think we have to be aware of people who might be harmed by the actions we're taking and trying to find ways to remediate that. But I think we have to keep it in perspective that what's really harming us is the practices of the big banks. What's really harming us is a federal government that's not willing to stand up for the working class. And compared to the harm that's being done by those institutions, shutting down the port for one day, that's really small change. And I think we have to keep that perspective in mind.
What do you hope to achieve by doing that, by having the port shut down for a day?
Well, I think we have two really clear things that we're hoping to achieve. One, there's a group of Teamsters down in LA that are trying to be unionized, that have not been permitted to be unionized. And we're hoping that in this huge message of solidarity with them, and this message of, if you don't allow this to happen, we're going to take action against you, that the employers down there will permit that unionization to happen. And then we're also doing this in solidarity with the Longshoremen's Union up in Longview, that is also fighting for the existence of their union. And again, this is showing that we've got their back, and that there are people that are watching these issues that are usually just ignored. I mean, unionization issues, these are things that are happening all across the country and usually get no attention. And we're bringing a huge amount of attention to that. And if you look at the extent of the response that we're getting from the people in power, how desperately they're trying to frame this in a negative light, they're clearly afraid of what we're doing. And that's a sign that we're doing something right.
Let me ask you that apparently the president of the union you mentioned, the Longshoremen's Union, put a full-page ad in the Oakland paper yesterday saying that he didn't support this particular movement and that it circumvents the democratic process they have in motion. What's your feeling about that comment, and how does that relate to what you're doing?
Well, there are differences between union bureaucracies and union rank-and-file members. And we've gotten very, very clear support from the rank-and-file members of the ILWU for this action. The local ILWU here sent out a text message saying, don't cross a community picket line, we're supporting what's going on. And so, there's that element, but I think we also need to remember that the union has certain legal confines of what they can and can't do as a result of the fact that unions are a legally recognized entity. And I think that my understanding is that a lot of this is protecting them from liability, from being sued by the people who are running the port. So there's a lot of the dynamics here are very, very complicated, and I don't think you can necessarily take all these statements at face value.
Thank you so much.
Yep, no problem.
They're considered independent contractors, so they have to pay for their trucks, their gas, and everything, but they still sign a contract with one company. And so basically they're kind of just screwed over in every way, shape, and form. And so it's really not fair for them either. So it's kind of like it's showing them that, and these are exports and imports coming in from the companies of the 1%. So I think it pretty clear makes a statement.
So what they're actually doing is shutting down the port. Specific to the goods that are coming in from those companies?
Well, it's the Goldman Sachs port.
Oh,
yeah, LA is
okay.
Goldman Sachs' main port. We have EGT up here. And the point is solidarity actions. Obviously, majority of the entire economy is run through import-export, and for us to be able to, as regular people, to go put a dent in the economy, I think it's a huge statement.
My name is Omar Rodriguez, and I'm the operations manager for the Bay Area Alternative Press. And we have been dealing with a lot of media misinformation, and basically corporations, large international corporations, own the majority of the mainstream press. They get to say what's in it and on it. And what they would like to see is they would like to see a division in the movement, because that way you can divide and conquer, essentially. And so that is what what they would like to see and what they're going to promulgate. And our position and what we want to see is that the movement be unified. So there's any number of reasons why they would attack, with the media, different movements that are organizing to build real solutions for the 99% of this country. And this is what we see that needs to change. That the media has to address the conditions and has to address the needs of the 99%. And for that to happen, the 99% needs to be in control of the media.
So do you believe that the port shutdown will have a positive effect overall?
It is hard to say at this moment, because what goes on today will have repercussions, and it is hard to say. One of the things that the media will do is they will often cite people who have a negative perspective on and give you every reason as to why it is bad, and yet they will not talk about people who are actually behind the movement and who want to support it.
So what do you hope to gain by the port closure?
Well, we don't take a position on the port shutting down or not shutting down, because what we want to see is we want to see that there is unity in the community. So at the moment we're not taking a position on the shutdown of the port or not shutdown of the port. We are in solidarity with labor, and we're in solidarity with Occupy movement, and we definitely want to build more of that positive working together of different groups and organizations in our community, so that we can have a successful movement that benefits the 99%.
Don't matter how high we think we gotta fly, no. It don't matter how low we go, no, no, no. 'Cause baby, this love, it's got wings, and it's taking us home. It's got wings, and it just wants to show we're living in a dream.
I'm curious about a question that keeps popping up in the media, or a statement that keeps popping up in the media, that this shutting down of the port, it's happened once before on October 2nd. Now today, 12/12/11, up and down the West Coast, people are gathering to shut the ports down. They say this is going to hurt little businesses, mom and pops, and the average consumer, driving prices up. If you were to keep doing these types of actions, it actually wouldn't hurt the 1%. They would just drive prices up on the consumer and drive mom and pops into further despair. What's your opinion of that?
We reject. That's an argument that's used against any kind of labor action, because the only power that labor has is to disrupt production. And it's a funny argument, considering that the capitalists, who own the means of production, the ports, and everything else, wreck the economy and cause mass unemployment. Our criticism of this particular action is not that. It's that it doesn't and hasn't intended to involve the workers themselves, who should really be, the ones who should be involved in protest. And, mainly, for their economic interests. So that's an answer to your question. I would also point out that 5 or 6 years ago, the Pacific Maritime Association, in order to get the union to give back wages and benefits, locked them out. They shut down the ports for an extended several months. which indicates, again, the hypocrisy of that argument.